Yo. I'm recording this on October the 3rd. This is the ChrisBeCappinn Show. Welcome in, and we are going to jump into two more teams as we dive into season previews for the NBA teams. Today on the board, we have the Chicago Bulls and the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that's expected to do really well and a team that is projected to not do so well. So hit the like button for me as you join. It always helps the algorithm. Super excited for NBA season. We were up a little over 40 units last year. Looking to build off that this year, of course. It is my favorite sport to bet. It's my favorite sport to play, to watch. And it's the one that I'm the most profitable on as well. So if you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe and lock in with me for the NBA season. Let's jump into it. Just a real quick reminder, 2 teams each day is how I'm breaking down the NBA team previews. And for people that's been around for a while, you know this is not anything different. I always do 2 teams a day at the beginning of the season. We'll finish up on the 15th, and the preseason actually starts on the 18th. So when I get into 16, 17, and close to the preseason ending, that's when I'll give out a few plays. I'll send them over to the members and probably share them on the YouTube channel as well. It's one that I'm really liking today. So we're gonna jump right into it for today. First team we got up is the Chicago Bulls. This is a Chicago Bulls team that, just thinking about last year, they finished 40 and 44 straight up, 42, 41 and 1 against the number, 46 and 38 against the number last season, 55%, 55% to the over 46 and 38 last season. And a large part, that was because they played at super low totals. Something that I think we have to watch out for at the beginning of this season, because I think Chicago's going to play with a lot of pace this year. They get Lonzo Ball back. You got Josh Giddey, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I think this is going to be at least a fun team. Chicago Bulls were kind of stuck in the mud offensively last season. We know that Zach LaVine was hurt for a large part of the season. They just ran a very slow offense, but they did, their efficiency did get them up and over the total, like I said, 55% of the time last season. So wanted to make sure I point that out. Last season, they were eliminated in the play-in tournament, which is something that seems to be, a trend for the Chicago Bulls, is them getting to about the play-in tournament and then not being able to win. DeMar DeRozan was on this team last season, super clutch player last year. And then you also had Caruso that was on this team. But, DeMar is a little older now, 35. Contract situations kind of were a roadblock for him. And he ultimately ends in Sacramento in a 3-team trade. So you got Zach LaVine still on the team. I'm of the mindset that they're gonna probably try to, get rid of Zach LaVine. That was something they tried to do last season. They just didn't have any takers because of how big his contract was, and also probably his injury history as well. He played only 25 games last season. I mentioned, LaMelo Ball. He's supposed to be healthy enough to play at the beginning of the season this year, which will be good, man. I'm a big LaMelo Ball fan ever since my Lakers drafted him. Thought he took some criticism and some scrutiny that probably wasn't warranted, but it is what it is. I'm happy that they have LaMelo Ball back. I think him and Josh Giddey are going to be, relatively good for this team. It's going to take them a while, LaMelo Ball specifically, to get his feet back, but I do think it's just going to be, good to see him back on the floor, and I think he's going to help the team for sure. Cody White was the highlight. I think the bright spot for this team last season, 19 points and 5 assists per game. He definitely was, ascended last year. I can't remember exactly what year it was for Cody White, but he played really well and was an anchor for them on the offensive end, a playmaker for them as well. So you go through and you look at, the additions. They add Chris Duarte in that trade. They sent DeMar DeRozan to Sacramento. You also get Josh Giddey in the trade for Caruso. Jalen Smith comes over from the Indiana Pacers, and then they drafted Matthias Bezelis, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's a pretty explosive guy for people who've had a chance to watch him. I did watch him play a little bit in Summer League. Not sure how big of an impact he's going to make immediately, but I do think that, he's going to get out there. I think if Chicago is not going to be playing for much, which I don't think that they will be, I think you definitely want to develop your young talent. So I do like, him to see the floor a lot. They lose DeMar DeRozan, as I mentioned. Caruso is also at OKC, which we'll talk about in just a second. And then you also lose Drummond. Drummond, I think, is back in Philly, I want to say. Javonte Green also leaves, a 3-and-D type player he was. And then, you go through and you look at their strength of schedule for this season as we kind of wrap up last season. And they got the 13th most difficult schedule. They're one of only 6 teams that has a league low 13 back-to-back scheduled this season. They have the rest advantage 13 times, third most of all teams in the NBA, and then they had a rest disadvantage 9 times, which is the third fewest. Also, I put a few of the odds on the screen so you guys can see them. Of course, you guys can see this team is not projected to do well. If you want them to make the playoffs, the best number I saw was over on BetMGM at 950. I'm not of the mindset that the Chicago team is going to be in the playoff hunt at all. To win the Central, which I'm also not of, the mindset they're going to do that. You can get them 30-1. And then the regular season win total, just 27.5. I kind of feel like, overall big picture, I kind of feel like Chicago is in a developmental year where they'll probably try to, they may end up even taking less. And I think that was one of the reasons why they didn't pull the trigger last year. They may end up taking less for Zach LaVine to kind of, get him off the books. Because if you're Chicago, you need to continue to rebuild, in my opinion. You have some young talent, some core pieces, in my opinion, but you need Zach LaVine gone. He's not, a championship level player. His injury health is always in question as well. So I think, I know last year they were a little, reluctant to ship him away because they couldn't find a suitor that would take on his contract. And I think this year they probably end up, getting rid of him probably closer to the trade deadline or before the trade deadline if they can find, a market for him. And I think that they're willing to take less this season. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not really big on betting the Chicago Bulls. Just wanted to, like I said, just diving into each team. I'm not really big on wanting to bet anything for Chicago right now. I will say 3 of the last 4 years, though, the Bulls have gone over their win total, which has been between 29.5 and 42.5. So the books, expecting the Bulls to be down a little bit worse this season, and I would agree with that. All right, let's keep it moving on to transition to the Western Conference team, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder. This Oklahoma City Thunder team last season was really, really good. 57-27 straight up, 46-35, and 1 against the number. They covered at a 58% clip last season. And, they ended up going all the way to the playoffs, getting to the third round, and losing to the Dallas Mavericks. They went 6-4 in the playoffs after beating the New Orleans Pelicans in the first round, 6-4 straight up and against the number before losing 4-2 to the Mavs. So Oklahoma City won 57 games, as I mentioned already. They seized a top seed in the Western Conference, becoming the youngest team at the average age of 24 to ever do so. And on top of all that, you also had SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in the finalists for the MVP, the Kia MVP finalist as well. Of course, he didn't end up winning. I thought that he should have won it, but he didn't. Shai was amazing last year. He averaged north of 30 points per game. He shot 54% from the field, and became a much better passer. He finished up and over 6 assists per game as well. So some improvements from Shai. You also, saw Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren take the next step as well. Chet had a very good, rookie. You can call it his rookie year because he didn't play the year before, getting hurt before the season started. But this team was, they were already really good. And then, you just got to take your hat off to what Mark Daigneault is doing over there. But more so, not even just Mark. It all starts with Sam Presti, probably the best GM in the NBA. I honestly don't even think it's really that close. He continues to, just pull the wool over these other GMs' eyes and, just kind of finesse them out of different situations. They go out, in the offseason and they add Caruso, which is a, pretty reliable, I'll talk about Caruso a little bit more, but a pretty reliable 3-and-D type player. You get Isaiah Hartenstein. They did pay Isaiah Hartenstein, but you didn't dip into any of your future first round draft capital at all. So another big, heist for Sam Presti and this Oklahoma City team. You also draft Nikola Topic. which I'm not sure how much he'll play. I don't think any of these young players will play a whole lot of minutes, but this is a 3-and-D, another 3-and-D type player. All of these players are pretty much 3-and-D type players that they drafted. You re-sign Isaiah Joe as well, and Aaron Wiggins, both pretty key players, I think, with his team, and they don't lose much, man. Josh Giddey is no longer on the team; he's in Chicago, but that was kind of anticipated if you watched the Oklahoma City Thunder last season when they got to the playoffs and were playing against the Dallas Mavericks. He wasn't a part of the rotation anyway. We were cashing tickets on his under prop because we knew his minutes were going to dwindle. And then Gordon Hayward retired. He also wasn't a part of the rotation after getting traded over from the Charlotte Hornets last season. So you go through and look at the schedule for this team. 12th easiest schedule, which is crazy because I just mentioned how good they were. But at a rest advantage 10 times, at a rest disadvantage 9 times. So not a significant difference one way or another. They are one of six teams that have a league high 16 back-to-backs this season. But I mentioned them, average age only being 24 years old. So yeah, I'm pretty high on Oklahoma City Thunder this year. I think, if you've done your due diligence and you looked at this team, then you probably are as well. Just what they've been able to do. Last year was, the first year that they were healthy for a large part of the season, and we saw, them take a drastic step into laying double digits a lot, and they covered a lot as well. This was, one of the better offensive teams in the NBA, defensive teams as well. I go back and just look at some of those numbers. Number 3 in points scored per 100 possessions. Number 3 in effective field goal percentage. They didn't turn the ball over. They turned it over the third fewest times per game. They struggled 27th in offensive rebound percentage. But you go out and you add a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein, that helps so much and takes so much pressure off of Chet Holmgren as well. Number 2 net rated team behind the Boston Celtics at a +8 per game. Not a lot of things that they did not do well. And they defended really, really well. 4th in points allowed per 100 possessions. 4th in effective field goal percentage. They turned you over more than any other team in the NBA. They gave up a ton of offensive rebounds, the second most. Like I said, adding Isaiah Hartenstein definitely helps that a lot. And they got a taste of the playoffs. I think this is going to be a very hungry, motivated team. And I like the Oklahoma City Thunder a lot this season. They have the second shortest odds, I think, or second or third shortest odds behind the Boston Celtics. And I want to say the New York Knicks are second. The New York Knicks are third. Oklahoma City is second at +700 to win the championship. So let's go straight into the odds. You can see on the right-hand side, championship +700 over on Bet365, even though I think the number is widely available. To win the Northwest Division, I put a couple stars beside this one, +105 over on Bet365. And the reason why I wanted to highlight that is because Bet365 is the only book right now that has it at plus money. I know people don't like tying up their money for a large part of the season, and I get it. I totally understand. I'm in the same category, but when I find an edge, I like to hit on that edge, and I'm cool with tying my money up for the season. Of course, there's injuries and things like that come into play, but that's a part of sports betting in general. I love the +105 for this team to win the Northwest Division. You got a Denver Nuggets team that I have evaluated some. I still got to do a little bit of deep diving on them, but they're +340 on most books. The best odds you can get is +340 for Denver to win this division. And they also in the same division with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Portland and Utah, we're not really worried about at all. And Minnesota, I do project to be really well also, but I think there could be some chemistry issues, specifically at the beginning of the season with Julius Randle coming off the injury. Dante DiVincenzo, I feel like is going to be, pretty good, but it could be, they could kind of falter a little bit. I think they will rely on their defense. I just think that Oklahoma City is the best team in this division, but I digress. I think the bet that I like the most is then just to go up and over the 57.5 wins. And the best number, the other thing I want to say about just to go back, bookmark that real quick, go back to the championship, to win the Northwest Division. For them to win the Northwest Division, I mentioned the best odds are over on Bet365. The only place that has is at plus money. If you try to take the same odds to win the Northwest Division at +105 over on Bet365, you're laying 50 cents. It's -150 on FanDuel. So this team, it's minus money on every other book. Caesars has it at -140. ESPN Bet, DraftKings, all minus odds for this, and I do think it's the right bet. I do think that they win this division, but I digress. Like I said, going to the season win total 50.5. I do think this is a 60-win team. I absolutely think that this team's win at least 60 games. If they win 60, they can lose 22, and I don't think that they're going to lose a lot of games, even if they end up not covering a lot of spreads. That's something that I really, really like a lot. I have not placed a bet yet, but that is probably my favorite bet within these two teams, is for Oklahoma City to win 59 games, if not 60 so far this in this upcoming 24-25 season. And the reason for that is, like I said, last season, this team won 57 games in the regular season. So they're clearly projected to do a little bit better. And to win 2 more games, I don't feel like it's out of the realm of possibility. And I wanted to kind of quantify the impact of Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein, and I specifically a little bit more Isaiah Hartenstein. I went back and looked at it, and when Isaiah Hartenstein was on the New York Knicks last season, he finished, the team finished a plus 10.4 in points scored per 100 possessions with him on the floor, which was the second highest on the team, third highest on the team behind just OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson. New York was a minus 0.7 in 3,816 possessions with Isaiah Hartenstein off the floor. And then same thing with Alex Caruso. They were the Chicago Bulls were a plus 3 in points scored per 100 possessions with Caruso on the floor, and they were about a minus half a point without him. So, with just adding those 2 players, all of the youth that this team has, the back-to-backs, I don't think will affect them too much. I do like the Oklahoma City Thunder up and over 58.5 wins this season for all of the things that I just kind of mentioned. Super young team. I think they'll still be hungry again as well. Like I said, I have not bet it, but if it's one bet, and I'll put these in a little bit closer. I said this on the, when I broke down the other 2 teams. I think it was the Memphis Grizzlies and whatever other team I talked about. These future bets I'll place a little bit closer to the end of the preseason, just so I can try to avoid the injuries as much as possible. I don't think that this line will move too much, but I do love Oklahoma City Thunder over 57.5 wins, and that would be the bet that I would give out for this these previews. The one that I like a little bit more. Don't have a dollar on it yet, but that's what I like the most. And that'll be it. Resources, I always like to shout these out. OddsJam will get you, I use it specifically for the Sportsbook screen page where I can find all these odds at the best price at the snap of a finger. And if you guys are interested, definitely check it out as well. You can get 20% off your first month using referral code CBC. There's a link for that in the description of this video. There's also a link for Moneyballer as well. ChrisBeCappinn, 2 P's and 2 N's will get you 50% off your first month over there. Great handicapping website. They have a lot of great information, stats, trends, situational spots, pretty much everything that you need. Head-to-head data, all of those, the good things are over on Moneyballer. It'll definitely simplify, the amount of time that you're putting into, reduce the amount of time that you're putting into, the handicapping sports in general, because it's a one-stop shop for MLB, NBA, WNBA, and NFL. So definitely check that out. If you guys are interested, you can always cancel both of them whenever you'd like. But these are, 2 things that I use, and I wouldn't talk about them if I didn't think that they were worth the promotion. So check those out. I also, always talk about Cleaning the Glass. Love what they offer over there. One of the websites that I use. I'm not sponsored by Cleaning the Glass, but I always like to, just share and be helpful. I think a Cleaning the Glass subscription is like $5 a month, something like that. It's very, very useful data that's helped me win money over, of course, of the years, handicapping and betting on NBA basketball. That'll be it, man. If you enjoy these, breakdowns of these teams and the season-long previews, do me a favor and smash the like button, man. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not. Like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. The link for all my official plays will be in the description of the video, as it always is. Best of luck on all your action, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. You'll be good. I'm out.